Hi, so this is a review on how to decode air pressure from a station model. So the first thing we need to do is we need to identify where we get the barometric pressure or the air pressure from on a station model. So we're going to go up to the key and we are going to find air pressure. So air pressure or barometric pressure right here is going to be in the top right position. Now this is a code, it's not a value. The way we would read this is 196, not 196, but 196, the same way you would read a phone number. The reason why is because it's a code, it's not an actual value. But we need to decode that to turn it into a value. So that's what we're going to do next. So what we have to do is we have to go to that same spot, the upper right-hand corner of the station model, to determine our barometric pressure. So on station 1, we look in the upper right-hand corner and we see a pressure of 998. So now we have to decode that to determine the pressure. Hi, okay, so determine the air pressure at station 1. First, we need to identify the code in the upper right-hand corner of the station model. So that is going to be this. Now, once we decode this, that decoded pressure has got to fall inside the possible air pressures that happen on the surface of the Earth as we find them on page 13 in the reference tables. So whatever number we decode this to be has got to be inside those numbers on the chart on page 13. So the way that I do this is I have a code of 998, and I read that like a phone number because it's a code, not a value. In order to decode it, what I need to do is I need to first put a decimal place in front of the last digit. The next thing I need to do is I need to decide what I'm going to put in front of this. Do I put a 10 in front of this, or do I put a 9 in front of this? Remember that it's got to end up on this chart on page 13. So if I put a 10 in front of this, it's going to be too much. If I put a 9 in front of this, it'll be right in the middle. So the way that you figure it out is if the code is above 500, 998 is above 500, I put a 9 in front of this. So the value is going to be 999.8. Now 999.8 is going to be right there. Now, what would happen if the value was below 500? In that particular case, let's do an example. So 073, I do the same thing to decode. So the first thing I do is put a decimal place in. 073 is below 500. So using that, I have to decide that I'm going to put a 10 in front of this. That means it's 1007.3. 1007.3 is also on my chart, approximately right there. So again, once you decode it, it's got to be on the chart. You can use that chart as a check. So now that I have my pressure, we have to remember that it's in millibars. And we always want to use the millibars part of our chart on a station model. Now I know what to record onto my lab. Okay, so now I know my barometric pressure, so I'm going to use the text box tool in Cami to put it into the chart. I'm just going to click in that square, and I determined based on the station model that my air pressure is 999.8 millibars. And so there it is. Now the next thing is going to be to do the barometric trend, which is going to be very similar.